Hey guys, and welcome again to Geekborn in another episode in the Barely Relevant series. Just like the 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, each movie or show that I cover is going to be connected by an actor or actress. Now this is a classic Pixar film with tons, I mean a metric load of recognizable big name actors in this film. So you might be curious of who I'm going to pick going from this film to the next one. But we followed Willem Dafoe here from his iconic role as the Green Goblin in the 2002 Spider-Man film. And he plays a much nicer character in a way in this film. It's pretty easy to pick out his voice once you kind of realize who he is, being a pivotal character in Nemo's side of the story. There's a lot of Nemo and his father's side of the story. He plays in the dentist's office, who appears with a who's who of actors who are in this fish tank, playing all these fishy characters in a whale of a time. But we start with the film. It's the best place to start, the beginning. As a precursor, we see the first scene. It's kind of a precursor to the scene in Up. Very sad. We see this predatory fish eventually come through, eats the wife and all of the eggs except for one. Our titular character, Nemo, who is found by Marlin. We get the title screen and a time jump. Nemo's now old enough to go to school. See him going there. He falls into a coral tube, though, foreshadowing some events that'll happen later. Marlin goes through, gets him out, but he's a super worrywart, super worried about what's going to happen for obvious reasons. Nemo's got a lucky fin, is what they call it. One of them didn't grow quite as much because his egg was damaged whenever the attack happened from this predatory fish. So Nemo goes through and asks his dad all sorts of crazy questions on his way to school about different creatures that live in the sea, foreshadowing some of the creatures that he'll meet on his journey. He talks about sharks and sea turtles, asking how long sea turtles live and whatnot, which is, one of the major questions that gets answered. It's a running joke throughout the movie that he's a clownfish. Clownfish are supposed to be funny because, clowns, haha. But, he's not. Nemo goes to school for the first time, and he sees the butt, and he goes to touch the butt. He has an argument, goes through, touches the butt, and this is where everything goes off the rails. Again, a diver shows up, takes Nemo, takes a picture, makes Marlin go disoriented, and we have to find Nemo.
That's the name of the thing.
It sure is.
Shortly, Marlin runs into Dory and then learns about her short-term memory loss. Then Bruce shows up. Great white shark. You might notice he's named after the prop shark that they used in the movie Jaws. They make it seem like the sharks are going to eat our heroes, Dory and Marlin, but they're not. They're actually at a Fish Anonymous meeting, like an AA meeting, where they go through because
fish are friends, not food.
And they want to go through, be friends with fish. They're on this journey to stop eating fish as a whole, become vegetarian sharks, I guess. There's some shenanigans. Dory nose starts bleeding, and Bruce goes into a frenzy. There's a bunch of underwater mines that end up going off, and we transition to Nemo, who's being dropped into the aquarium. And we see the dentist, who exclaims that he saved this fish who was struggling for life on the reef out and obviously we know that's not true, but then we meet some of the other inhabitants of the tank. A notable one is Bloat the Blowfish, who is voiced by Brad Garret. Some of you guys might know this guy as Robert, the lesser known, lesser liked older brother of Raymond from Everybody Loves Raymond. And he will be the guy that we are following into the next picture because he is known for so many films. And we'll tell you at the end of the video which movie we're going into next. But the aquarium seems to enjoy watching the dentist, for whatever reason, do all of his different procedures, and they know a lot about the work. We learn that Nemo is in fact a gift for the niece of the dentist named Darla. She's actually prone to killing the fish, which seems weird that you continue to give her fish when she continues to kill them. We get a dramatic reveal, the final character from the aquarium, and that is Gil, Willem Dafoe's character, who, we follow to this picture. He's so good in every role, including this one, being an animated fish. It's insane. Gil is also from the ocean, and he has a bad fin. We'll learn later the bad fin's from him trying to escape. Marlin and Dory, we go back to them, and they have the mask that has the address on it. They eventually lose it. They got to get it back. We get the famous
"Just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, swimming, swimming."
They go through. Eventually they find the mask. Dory finds out she can read, so she reads the mask. And that's one thing she doesn't forget for whatever reason. Convenience. Nemo is woken up in the middle of the night for an initiation. He goes to the summit of Mount Wanahakalugi, and he is now known as Shark Bait.
Shark bait.
Cue the escape plan montage. Mission Impossible style. We go through and they try to explain how he's going to get out and use shark bait. Dory and Marlin get directions from a large group of fish. Dory is given some advice to swim through the trench, not over it, but of course she forgets, and they're confronted with a forest of jellyfish. They almost make their way through, but Marlin has to go back for Dory because she doesn't make it quite through at the very end, gets hit with some tentacles. Every time that we see Dory and Marlin in some crazy shit, we go back to Nemo in the aquarium, and we see him in the dentist office. Nemo is sad because he's sure that his dad isn't coming to save him. He doesn't think he's looking for him at all, and they try to stop the filter, which is the plan, and go through, but it doesn't work, and Nemo almost gets sucked back into the fan, Willy Wonka style, like they're going up for the physics lifting drinks, and they decide they're done. No more trying to escape. Marlin and Dory, on the other hand, were saved by some sea turtles, portrayed as stoners, because there was a rumor for a long period of time that sea turtles would go through and eat the jellyfish and they'd get stoned from the toxins and whatnot the jellyfish have. Turns out not really true, but it's pretty dope. Nautical, man. Marlin tells the story of the turtles, and it starts getting spread across the ocean. It makes its way all the way to Sydney, where Nigel, the friendly pelican, who's friends with all the people at the aquarium in the dentist office, hears the story and hears the name Nemo, and then he rushes back to the aquarium because he has to tell Nemo his dad's coming for him. Goes through, tells him the whole story about everything that's happened. And shark bait, Nemo decides that he needs to block up that filter so they can get the F out. Marlin and Dory leave the EAC, otherwise known as the East Australian Current, and they decide to ask a fish for directions. But Dory got hurt last time that Marlin didn't trust her, and they get swallowed by a whale trying to trust Dory this time. Dory thinks she can speak whale. We find out in the sequel she actually knew a whale, that she can't speak whale, but it's kind of crazy. We see the nasty aquarium got gunked up, but should be clean the next day, so they should be able to get out. Dory and Marlin are hanging out in the mouth of a whale, and Marlin loses hope. There's a debate if the whale's mouth is half full or half empty, kind of talking about what's going on. They eventually get a shot out of the whale through its blowhole and straight into the Sydney harbor. The fish woke up in the middle of the aquarium to find it clean. The dentist installed some kind of fancy high-tech filter while they were sleeping. So now, P. Sherman the dentist tries to fish Nemo out with a net so we can get the fish, all get in, and they swim down, foreshadowing events that happen later. Nemo is out, finally got caught in a bag, so he's sitting there, he tries to roll away, which was the other part of the plan, but Dennis goes through and puts him in a tray so he can't roll anywhere. Then Darla shows up. Marlin refuses to be eaten by a bird and causes it to choke. Nigel sees this bird choking and decides to help the bird out, but then he finds out it's Marlin that's choking this bird, and he's got to help him because he's got to go get him to his son Nemo. Nemo ends up faking being dead so he can get flushed down the toilet because Gil told him all drains lead to the ocean. But he's not going to be flushed. He's getting thrown in the trash. So Marlin, Dory, and Nigel all show up around this time, and Marlin forces Nigel into the office. He starts making a whole bunch of nonsense. Gil ends up out, helps Nemo go down the drain because all the drain leads to the ocean. Again, like I said. Then Nigel drops Marlin and Dory back into the ocean because they think that Nemo has died. Dory feels at home with Marlin, but Marlin's just depressed and he wants to, kind of be at peace and alone. But Nemo pops out of a drain, surprisingly, near where Dory is, who is all upset and distraught. And then we go through. Dory reads the word Sydney and then remembers basically everything, including Nemo, and then realizes who Nemo is, says, we gotta go find your dad. So they go through, they find Marlin, but Marlin is in a fishing ground. Dory gets caught up in a net, and then we go through, we have the whole swim down situation where Marlin is convinced that Nemo knows what he's doing, and they convince all the fish that they need to swim down so they can save everybody, and it ends up working. It's just crazy. Marlin goes through, answers Nemo's questions, specifically about the sea turtles, how old they are, and all that nonsense. Then we get to go back to school. We see Nemo again, similar to the beginning of the movie, but everything's going a lot better. Marlin's actually funny now, paying off the joke about clownfish. Crush the baby sea turtle is there, straight chilling at the school as an exchange student. The sharks show up because Dory was at their Fish Anonymous meeting for whatever reason. Just kind of chilling, being friends with everybody. The kids run off with the teacher, and the movie ends. Then, of course, during the credits, we see the aquarium fish, and they make their escape. But it seems like they're kind of stuck in the bags at the end of the film. So I'm not sure how that's going to work out. This movie, blast. No matter the nostalgia, whatever, it's just so much fun to rewatch this movie. There's so much emotion, there's so much going on, and it's a lot. It's great. It's a Pixar film at like the height of Pixar when they were doing the best in the entertainment and animation. It's fantastic. Totally recommend everyone go watch it again if you haven't. Definitely recommend it over the sequel. Just okay, but this clearly the best. You need to catch us next week. So we followed Brad Garret from the Blowfish to his film. It's a very small role that he has in the film, and that's why we're keeping it barely relevant this week, where he voices the Easter Island Head in all of the Night at the Museum films, but we are going through and we are watching the first Night at the Museum film next week here on Geekborn with it barely relevant. Like if you like the video, comment to let us know what actor we should work towards on our barely relevant journey, and we'll find a movie the actor was in and we'll make our way there. Subscribe for more barely relevant and other series that are in the works currently. And remember, some of us are just born geeky. You have a good one.